Hey guys, CWHolo1 here. Welcome back to another video, and today I am going to be doing a review with my phone, because I can't bring my computer down here, on the Lionel 10th Anniversary S2 Berkshire Polar Express set. This set, was a gift on Christmas. It's a very nice set, but me being me, I'm an amateur at doing this kind of stuff, so be prepared for the most boring review of this train you will ever see. But continue watching if you want to hear it. So, let's start. I don't know where to start with so many details, compared to what I'm usually used to. Let's start with the front, because I'm already there. So, we have, it's a pretty much all die-cast metal frame. It's pretty nice. It's got Odyssey Speed Control 2. Or Odyssey 2 Speed Control, whatever the heck you want to call it. But anyway, that's electronics. I'll get to that later. You have nice metal handrails on the side. I don't know whether they're separately applied or not. You have one on the front, and you have another on the other step side. You also have these are lighted. When I power it up, I'll show you. And so are these green marker lights. And these little number plates, I'm using my camera to see where I should be pointing. Focus. The number plates on the side of the headlight are illuminated when the headlight turns on. I'm guessing they use the same bulb. And then you have your little steps down there, and underneath the smoke box is empty. Camera focus. There we go. So yeah. Also, I do not believe that this... Oh, maybe it does. Huh. So yeah, the front of the boiler swings open. It's held on with a magnet, as you can see back there. And then you got all your wires in the smoke box. It's got a fan-driven smoke unit up top. I'll get to that in a second. It's got this nice swinging bell. Unlike the Vision Line versions, it does not swing. Well, even some of the Vision Line versions don't have it. And then you have these handrails that are kind of on the front, on both sides. So, let's move to the top. You have your smokestack, you have your fan-driven smokestack, smoke unit inside. That's the smokestack. The smokestack's the outer piece. And one thing I've noticed while listening to this is that each puff is the fan turning on and off. So, like, it'll, how do I do this? Every time it puffs, the fan turns on, and then it quickly shuts off to have a puff. You have the handrails going down the side again. You have your Lionel smoking whistle, which I absolutely love, but it looks like they put a little bit of extra brass on this model, if my camera will focus. Yeah, you can kind of tell. It looks like they put a little bit extra. I don't think it's supposed to be that wide, but I live with it. You have your sand dome. These do not open. On some steam engines that will reveal some of the control switches. But on this engine, they are underneath the cab, which I will show you in a minute. You have your pop-off release safety valves. You have your dynamo. And your steam heating, I believe is what that is. And you have nice rivet detail all along the engine as well. So, and also, on the back of the cab, you have this cab vent, and the cab vent will open and close, and this is my only Lionel, legacy train that I have, so that's new to me, that sliding vent. So I absolutely love that. And then, I have good lighting in my basement. You've got on the side, it's pretty much the same thing on both sides. You have your, I'm guessing that's the sander. I'm not entirely sure. I don't know, the sander will go down to the wheels with your sand domes. But you have legible builder's plates. Camera. Okay, apparently it doesn't want to focus on that. There you go. You can kind of see it there. Lima, that's how I pronounce it. Locomotive Works. Can't quite read the rest. I took a photo of it a little while ago. 1225 obviously is at the top because that's the engine number. And then you have this nice painted knob, release knob, or safety valve. And then you have nice drive gear. This is the reason I love steam engines, is the drive gear. It looks incredible in motion, and even standing still, it just looks like it's got all the power in the world that you would possibly need. And then you have nice rivet detail on the firebox. And then the ash pan has a glowing red light in it, and it does reflect off the truck, which I find kind of interesting because it illuminates a wire, which is an interesting feature. And that's probably not intentional, knowing Lionel. In the cab, I have the tender on it. You have your firebox. You have 2 crew figures in there. Not a lot of hand-painted detail, but I'll show you that when I turn it on. And when I have the Rule 7 lighting on, which is... great, the basement's called again. Rule 7 lighting is basically... when the engine's at a standstill, the headlight will be dim and the cab light will be on, and then when it starts moving, the cab light turns off and the headlight will brighten. And you also have some little handles. You can see it better on the other side, but you do have some handles on it. You have your infrared couplings in between the engine and the tender. And again, the other side is basically the same thing. The other side, except it has the throttle control for the regulator inside the cab. Alright, now let's do the tender. Nice crisp Polar Express lettering on the side. You have another builder's plate. I can't quite read it on the video. You have all the rivet detail. By the way, that is legible if you have a microscope. Or, not a microscope's meant to see microscopic things, a magnifying glass. On the top, you have a real coal load, which is also brand new to me. You also have a little bit of detail on the back. You have some doors that don't open. You also have another plate that I did not actually know about until now on there, which, again, is legible underneath of a magnifying glass. I got it right. On the back, you have this nice handrail going around, and then these little water hatches will open up to reveal the master volume control, which I have cranked all the way up because I use the volume control on the TMCC remote to control the sound. But these things open and close, and I love that. You can also just open up the back one and get control to it, but I believe it can use a small Phillips head or a flathead screwdriver. So yes, very, very compatible with any kind of screwdriver, almost, unless you have a giant one, which won't fit. That thing's actually a lot smaller than you'd think. Let's uncouple the cars with its hidden little coupling tabs. On the back of the engine here, you have the 1225, I have my finger in the way, 1225 on the back, 22,000 gallons, and 22 tons of, 22 tons. And I'm guessing that's imperial, not metric. You have this nice step detail. By the way, these engines, I believe, the S2s were built by Baldwin. Some of them, at least. This one was built by Lima Locomotive Works, obviously, because of the builder's plate. You have an option, anyway, you have an operational, reverse light. Yes, I do not edit my videos, so you will hear me stuttering a lot. And then you have this little handrail here. I'm guessing that's for the workers if they have to replace that light. And then you have your 2 handrails on the side. And your coupler. That can be fired from the legacy remote. By the way, there isn't one on the front. So you can press the front release coupler on the, you can press the button on the TMCC remote to release the front coupler, and you will get the uncoupling sound. You also have these nice die-cast metal steps that ring, apparently. Interesting. Yeah, and the whole thing rocks. It does not have sprung trucks, but on the trucks, it does have the lubrication box. There's a lot of detail on these things. It does have that box that you would put the lubricant in. And that's actually the source for hot boxes, if you've ever heard of one. It's basically when the hot bearing on the axle will ignite the lubricant in those boxes, and it'll start a fire, and if it is not attended to, it will cause it'll cause the train to derail. And yeah, so that's what they call them, a hot box, because it's a hot box. Haha, funny. Anyway, I believe this set comes with 3 passenger cars. I don't know, because I believe that there's 9 optional. There's a couple. Yes, it is. I believe that there's 9 optional cars, and I think I have 8 out of the 9 of them. I mean, if I put all 9 of them, if I had all 9 of them, if I put all 9 of them around, you'd probably have about maybe one of these tracks worth of distance. So you have like from here to here. So that's about your distance between the end of the observation car and the front of the engine. Don't know, because I don't have the 9th, and I've never hooked up all 8 cars. But anyway, here's the first car that I have, which is the baggage car. It does have little sliding doors. You just press in, slide, and then you just pull it out, and it'll close. It'll snap shut. So that does not rock like some of my old post-war box cars back there. You can see that the mailbox car is actually open because it doesn't have a latch. And it does the same. These doors are a little bit fiddly. It does the same with the back door. And then you do have a little bit of a base in there. Not much, that's basically just to hide the electronics. I don't really open these things that much. And it is illuminated. All these cars are illuminated. So let's go on to the passenger cars. Oh, hang on, this is the dining car. As you can see, there's a little bit of a difference in the diaphragms. These are the diaphragms. They are rubber, but this dining car, when we originally got it, did not have these diaphragms in it. So we had to go out and get some diaphragms, and they weren't the same size, but they work for me. It definitely makes it look a lot better than it used to, but it's off by 1 notch. So you have 1, 2, 3 notches on here, 1, 2 notches on there. So, doesn't really bother me. If you're one of those super OCD freaks that absolutely loves trains, then it might bother you, but I'm fine with it. Some of my friends might call me a super OCD train freak. Anyway, you have die-cast metal steps. You have them on the baggage car as well. And then you have the nicely detailed trucks again. Oh, by the way, this engine is limited edition. So, you can't get it anymore, unfortunately, because this engine is amazing. Inside you have little tables. You'll be able to see that better when I start it up, which I might actually do. But most of the cars are basically just like the dining car. They have all the same details. You've got the diaphragms. Nice Polar Express logo on the top, the red and blue of the Polar Express. And these doors do open. Now, originally when I got the set, I thought that they put the doors in backwards, because I've never seen, like, typically when you open a door, the hinges, will be on the, I don't know my rights and lefts too well, the left side. Typically the hinges will be on the left, but these were on the right. So it felt to me like they were opening backwards, but after messing around with it, it does feel right. Kind of, but you do have the step detail, and I just realized, I'm in the shadow, if my camera will focus, it does say watch your step on the steps, which I think is absolutely incredible, and I didn't know about that until now. That's a better view of the trucks. It does look like it looks kind of like they're sprung, but by sprung, they just have springs in them. But yeah, it's basically the same thing. Until you get to the observation car, which, again, is basically the same thing on the front, and then in the back, this lights up. You have your 2 rear classification lights, marker lights. Classification lights are on the engine, and then you have your nice Polar Express logo, which is actually illuminated. So, and then you have a coupler, which I don't know whether we put a coupler on the back of the observation car. That doesn't make any sense. I've never seen an observation car with a coupler on the back of it. I've seen cabooses with couplers on the back of it, but I've never seen an observation car. And then you have my GP7 Atlantic Coastline back there. and a tunnel. So, let's go over to our control panel with our ZW. Power that all the way up because it's Trainmaster Command Control. And now everything is illuminated. Now you have your strobe light. It's still late on the camera. So inside of here, there isn't much to see. It's blue, which is surprising, but you can see Billy. I believe that was his name. I haven't seen the movie in a while. It's in the back. Oh, by the way, if I'm wrong about the name, just correct me in the comments. And again, you have your rear lights illuminated. You can't really see it very well, but that does still have the PE in it. It's very blurry on the camera. And then you have your marker lights. And it's basically the same for all the cars. So I have a metal pole right there that I have to go around. And then the dining car, this is like the worst feature about this car. It doesn't have any interior detail, yet it's illuminated. And I'm kind of annoyed by that. But it does have illuminated detail in there, and there are people in some of these cars. Like there's the hot chocolate stand, which I absolutely love. I think it's cool. And then you have the observation, or the baggage car, which is illuminated. And when the engine first starts up, as you can see, these top classification lights, the 1, 2, 3, 5, is on, but nothing else is on. That's normal. Okay, don't get this engine powered up and expect everything to turn on. That doesn't work. In order, if you have this thing in Trainmaster Command Control mode, in order for you to get the lights start up, again, I have my Trainmaster Command Control remote. I'm going to bring this over to here. So here's my engine. I'm going to hold this with my left hand. So now, I have my Trainmaster Command Control remote. So if I press 3, you'll hear the startup sounds. So you'll hear the startup sounds, there's a little bit of a delay, and then the classification lights will turn on. And then you have your headlight that'll turn on with the side marker lights. And it does look like it's flashing on the video. It is not flashing in real life. I believe it's just an LED that makes the camera do that illusion. But yeah, it is not flashing. And I think that there's actually supposed to be a number down there. Did not see that. But as you can see, the classification lights are green, which is not actually a railroad thing. They're typically either white or red. White for extra, and I believe red for mainline, white for extra, I believe is what it is. I should probably put smoke fluid in it. I have the smoke unit off right now. I'll show you that a little bit later. I'll also show you the other side a little bit later. And now, in the cab, we have the Rule 7 lighting on. You can see we have the flickering firebox, and you do have your cab light up there, and you can see the regulator and quite a few interior details. I'm not sure if you'll be able to see that on the video, but it is extremely detailed. And then, once again, you have your working direction light, and then if I press F on the Trainmaster Command Control remote, which would typically be the front coupler, you get your little coupler release sound, and the rear one will fire the rear coupler. So let's power this thing up. And just have it run over to our main side of the platform. And shut it down there. So yes, you do have quite a bit of crew talk. Which is randomly selected. Now, this is a legacy engine, and I'm running it with Trainmaster Command Control. So the Quillable Whistle will not have a complete effect. Now, I'm going to cutscene this a little bit, and put some smoke in the engine, and I will be right back. Okay, I did put smoke fluid in it, and I just remembered that I forgot to show you guys the underside, which I will show you guys now at the end of the video. So there's my control panel, the better view. So, let's start this thing up again. Let's press 3. Let's press 9 to start up the smoke unit. And as you can see, there's no smoke coming out of it. And I'm trying to one-handedly pull the antenna out of the, pull the antenna out. Hang on, random cutscene. A little bit of delay there. Okay, I'm back. Yeah, I did it. I now have my extended antenna. That's ridiculously hard to do one-handed. Anyway, I have this pinned in as engine 12, and I'm, unlike many people, I'm actually going to turn this off so I don't waste the smoke load. Unlike many people who use the last 2 digits, I use the first 2 digits. Don't know why, well, I do know why, because my dad has the Lionel Trainmaster Command Control M1A Pennsylvania Railroad Mountain Class locomotive, which is a really nice locomotive. If you know your train terms, you'll know what I'm talking about. But it was pinned in as the first 2 numbers. I believe it was 65 or 69, 50, something like that. I don't know. Or 6759, that's what it was. And it was pinned in as 67. And I couldn't change it. So I decided just to have the first 2 numbers. So I figured if I was eventually going to run this thing, that engine, full-time on this layout, I would like to have them all as first 2 digits. So I do. That engine, number 178, is pinned in as 17. This one's pinned in as 12. So anyway, so that's that note. Let's run through some of the features. So, I turn the smoke unit back on. It does have high, medium, and low smoke. Can't really see it because there's a glare. Let's see. I have a black sweatshirt on. Yeah, there you go. Okay. So, that's the smoke, and let's bring the engine up so I can demonstrate. It's actually put in front of the signal. I overshot it. Anyway, here's the smoking whistle. And it does generate a fair bit of smoke. Anyway, I'm going to turn that off now. Okay, so I do not push my trains, I run them backwards. Alright, so let's run through some of the sounds. So I turned off my smoke again. So, number 2, okay, so there's many sounds from the movie. So if I press 2 on the remote,
I want to leave.
It will play certain sounds from the movie, and there are quite a few of them. 7 does True Talk. If I press aux 1 and then quickly press 7.
This is the dispatcher. Please stand by. Over.
Copy that, dispatcher. Waiting on a clear signal. Out.
It will play through the Crew Talk dialogue for standby. If I just press 7.
Dispatcher, you're clear to pull. Over.
Thank you much. Cleared to move. Here we go. Out.
You have the clear outbound thing with True Talk. I press 3 and hold 3. You have your water fill.
The water's full. Over.
Copy that. Out.
Also, I just realized this. Let's say, oh, by the way, 6, which I'm going to demonstrate this with. If I press 6. And hold it. It plays the cylinder chock release sound. It does not actually have steam that comes out of it. That's only on Vision lines, I think, and some very, very high line Legacy. But if I press and hold down 6, the little red light, on the command base for receiving a command goes bananas. That is so funny. Anyway, again, 8 and 9, so if I press 9, it'll turn on the smoke. Can't really see it, and 8 will turn it off. 0 is reset. Now if I press 1, you'll hear the bell sound, and that's volume up. So this is now max volume. And if I keep pressing 4, you'll hear the bell, and the volume will start to decrease. Until it's muted. So let's turn it back up. I tend to like to keep it at 1 below, because this thing is quite noisy at max. So, anyway, that's pretty much it. So, let's do the whistle. I'm actually going to turn it down one more. And then the bell, if it will activate. So that's the bell. And then you have your direction switch. Now, one thing I found kind of annoying about this model is that the light on the headlight does not turn off. So you can press reverse and not even know that you're in reverse unless you look at the back of the passenger car. And if you have a train behind it, that could lead to many, many problems. So, anyway. Let's see, what else can I do? I think that there's nothing left to do but run it and then show you the underside. So, I'm going to press and hold AUX 1, and that'll activate sequence control. There you go, sequence control is now activated. You should hear the two bell strokes and then the whistle. That now means that sequence control is activated. So, if we press our 7 key.
Dispatcher here.
Got your signal, dispatcher. We're clear to move. Over.
Affirmative. Out.
That crew talk specifically is very hard to find. That's like the second time I've only heard it. So anyway, let's pull out.
Tower, here we come. Over.
Affirmative. Keep rolling. Out.
Also, if I press 3 while the engine is in motion, you'll hear a very faint, I believe it's the steam injector. But that's pretty cool. I didn't even know that feature was in it, and I've slowed it down now. I'm going to go sit on the couch and speed this thing up. So anyway, it does have sounds for low, medium, and high speed. I'll show you how to do that in a second. But when I started up sequence control, that sound of the couplers tightening up, and the bell and the whistle and the crew talk were all activated on its own. They all activated by themselves. By the way, this train does take up about half the track. So, I'm going to show you guys how to activate running at low, medium, or high speed. So, you heard the first whistle. If you remember, that signals that I'm going at around medium speeds. That will mean that now if I slow down, you'll hear that again, and then it'll play the crew talk.
We're running at slow speed. Out.
So now they're running at slow speed, but it will only do that once. So it will not do that again. So anyway, let's get some shots of this thing running by. Alright, let's bring it in to a stop. I'm going to use the brake. Once it comes around here. It will play the bell sound as long as it's at slower speeds.
Come to a full stop. I think we've got a kicker. We're going to check it out. I'll let you know when we're rolling again. Out.
Okay, I'm going to clarify something for you guys. First I'm going to shut down the engine.
Going to the register room to sign out. Out.
Okay, now you may have heard at the end, it said, I think we've got a kicker. I'm gonna check it, we'll check it out, I'll let you know when we're rolling again. I didn't actually know this until I looked it up. A kicker is a flaw in a piece of rolling stock, or a passenger or freight car. It's a problem with their air brakes. Now, the reason he says I think we've got a kicker is because when you activate the brakes, if there is a flaw, the train will automatically go into emergency stop. Now, I have not found a foolproof method of making it so that he doesn't say that. I've also not found a foolproof method for making him say that. So, yeah. So I'm going to set this thing up on the cradle, and we're going to look at the underside. Okay, I now have the engine in the cradle. So as you can see, it's got 3 pickup rollers. So it runs through the Atlas switches pretty easily. My dad's Mountain Class does not. You have your front truck with your pickup. I'm guessing for common, that's your ground. And you have the same thing on the back. You have your wireless tether, and here is your switches for your run program and your Odyssey or no Odyssey. Then on this side, you have your if I can get my camera. There we go. We have your smoke or SMK and no smoke or no SMK. And that is underneath of the cab. So probably an older tooling. That they made this engine with. You have your 2 flangeless wheels, so that I can negotiate tighter turns. The minimum says, I'll get into that a little bit later. Then you have your flange wheels, and then you have 2 traction tires on your rear set of wheels, and again, Odyssey speed control. So this thing is, you don't get, what does this say? The Polar Express, trying to get my camera out. The Polar Express and a related character and elements are trademarks of whatever. You can read that if you get the engine. It's something like it's trademarked from the movie. So yeah, I'm gonna set this back up on the track. Alright, so I've got the engine back on the track, and now, by the way, that cradle, that's handmade. And you have your PCR. There's something I discovered about this engine. When I read the box, it said minimum curve of 0.54, which is, like, typically when you get an O gauge fast track set, it comes with 0.54 curve radius curves. I cannot speak today. That basically means that it has a 54-inch curve radius, or curve diameter. If you had a 54-inch radius, that would be a huge curve. Like 0.108. Anyway, I ran this engine on 0.54, and it did not work. It would not run properly. It would keep binding up, and it would pop off the track. That's just because the 0.54 is too tight of a curve for this to handle. That's at least my experience with it. So, I would recommend at least 0.63. I run it on 0.72, just because I don't have 0.63. But 0.72, this engine is very happy, but the passenger cars have a ridiculous amount of overhang. So yeah, take that into consideration. If you're not, like, even 0.54, the passenger cars, the overhang is massive. Also, when I got this baggage car, it had a problem with the coupler. So it wouldn't close, it wouldn't stay shut, so we got that fixed. So that's why I'm running it. But anyway, so I would recommend at least running this on 0.63. 0.72, this engine is very happy. I would recommend that. So, yeah, anyway, I'm CW Hollow 1, and have a good day, or maybe good night in your case. Don't forget to like and subscribe to this video, and see ya.